Hi, so I'm here at home and let's do some post-processing. I've loaded the pictures already into Lightroom. I did a rough selection and I have 28 pictures from Mörbisch. And to be honest, I did a rough post-processing before, but at the moment I have reset everything to as it came from the camera. So basically this is how it looks. Those were the few test shots. This was, what was the time? This was 8 o'clock, so it's about 40 minutes before the moonrise. It was windy, the tripod was not really stable enough, and I didn't really miss the focus. It's just because it's a half a second the camera was shaking. So, and I don't remember honestly at the moment if I switched off the stabilization or not. For such long exposures normally I do, but because either I was busy or busy thinking about something different, perhaps I might have forgotten. So those were more or less test shots. I was trying to get a frame, like here for instance, as you can see the tower of church, and I'm expecting to see the moonrise around here. So this is how it is. This is a bit later. This is already 2021, so it's about 20 minutes before or 10 minutes before the moonrise. And this is yes, this is 2038, and this is actually the moment of rising moon. As I said during the video, there are lots of clouds here on the horizon. If it wasn't for this, it would have been absolutely fantastic photo, and this is exactly what I wanted to get. I wanted to get here the tower, the church tower. It's still loading, and I wanted to get the moonrise. Now let's have a look at this picture. I mean, it's totally untouched at the moment. What's the color? It's camera standard. Let's have a look at different color spaces. Quite often I start simply with Adobe color space, but in this case I don't really like it. Let's go back to standard. Standard looks more natural. Let's go to neutral. I like the neutral also. It also sort of reduces this glow here, and we can still bring it back. So let's go back to neutral, and actually the camera is set to neutral. As you see, this picture is untouched. My typical preset would be highlights minus 50, shadows plus 50. This is what it would do, and it increases the contrast to plus 30, adds some clarity and vibrance. But let's do something more. Let's try to open up a bit. We still don't have any clipping here. Okay, we have lots of clippings in the shadows if I go here, but it's not that bad. It's actually only here, the roof of this house. So if I open up, let's say by sixth of a stop, let's go higher to like by one stop, but one stop is unnatural. It's too much. It was dark, so I mean, I don't want to show everything here. Let's go back to like sixth of a stop and let's compare it before and after. It's quite close. Problem is white balance. Okay, I was shooting at 3200 Kelvin, so this is as it was shot. Let's cool it down a bit. And there is, from those city lights, there is so much green cast, which I don't like. So let's try to counterbalance it, adding some tint, and this tint also affecting here this moon. Let's just stay at about 15. Let's look at before and after. Yeah, lots of this green cast is gone and it looks better. I might come back to this picture later. Again, it's a pity here I don't have the full moon. Imagine here it would be like a massive rising moon in this color. And basically I think I will leave it for the time being. I might just do a little bit of contrast here, a little bit more clarity, and that's basically it for the time being. Okay, what annoys me here is those lights. Let's try to do, I don't want to do a global correction, so let's play just with the mask here. So I will create a mask, sorry, not the mask, gradient filter just for this area, and I'm not changing any exposure values. I just want to play with the color balance. So let's make it colder. Too much, it's too white, it must be a bit yellowish, but let's make it, oh, it's too much. Maybe just warm it up a bit and just add a little bit of tint. I'm just trying to get the same picture from what I remember staying there. They look quite close. Again, I might come back to this. If it wasn't for those clouds, the whole sky here would be in this orangey color. But yeah, this is the situation. Let's go to the next picture. So this is a few moments later. Let's look at the time. So here, sorry, it's 20:38. So this is 1 minute later. I reframed the shot. I wanted to get more of the sky here. And this is another 1 minute later. So you can see how fast, within 1 minute, how fast it's moving. And let's get here, yeah, we get the sun. And what I did a mistake, this is 8 seconds. The picture is relatively sharp. It's just that the moon is not sharp. It's because it's too long. It's 8 seconds. So you can see the movement here. So this is the edge of the moon. There are two edges. So within this time, it's just moving. The moon is moving so fast. So what lesson I learned from that night is actually it's better to raise the ISO and do the exposure like maximum 2 seconds. 1 second is probably, but okay, this is, I mean, you don't get to shoot the moon every day, and especially in those light conditions when it's so dark. If it was like a day before, if it was during the moonrise would be occurring together with the sunrise, it would be way brighter, so I would completely be using different shutter speeds. But let's have a look what we can do with this picture. This is unprocessed image. It is not sharp. I like this one here when it's, this one is nice. Okay, we'll come back to it. But here it's too, yeah, I want to be able to see something here. Let's have a look at this one. So here's the lake. Let's have a look at this one. So it's fully out of the clouds. Okay, let's try the normal Adobe. It's, you see, it changed from standard. It changed dramatically. The colors here. I mean, Adobe is wider color space, but if you are using RGB screen, it doesn't sometimes make too much sense. So let's go back to standard and let's check the neutral. Neutral. Standard gives me more color. Now let's go my default presets. So reduce the highlights, bring back some shadows, clarity, and a little bit of contrast. Let's try to go back with the, so let's go to like really tungsten. That doesn't make much difference. Let's leave it as it was, 3200. I have more oranges and more reds here. Okay, let's try what happens if I bring back the shadows. I might a little bit, but it's unnatural. It was dark. I will leave it as it is. Let's add some vignette here. I want to counteract here this light. Now what I see here, I have here lots of space to bring back the whites. So one option is to do it this way, but this doesn't do too good, too much. So let's play with the histogram. You see, this is the difference if you are using the whites slider and then you are just playing with the curves. It's more subtle, and now by reducing here this gap, I'm actually expanding the dynamic range. Yeah, I think it's too much. It's too saturated. So let's even bring back the. No, this is not good. Okay, 20 is too much. I'll just leave it as it original was, so with nothing. Let's compare before and after. Okay, there's a little bit of colors here more, but this is how it is. I will just crop it a bit. I don't want to have this light here, and that's basically it. Let's go to the next one. So those are very similar shots, so probably I would just do the same. I will apply the same presets. Now here I put already the 600, so I put the 2x converter or extender, and I remember I had a problem focusing because the whole camera was it's so massive, it was wobbling. And you see here, I mean, it's well exposed. If you look at the histogram, it's really well exposed. There is, okay, of course there's clipping in the sky, but there is nothing clipped here in the area of the moon. So I could even go open up a bit. So now, okay, now I'm clipping, but at this stage I'm totally fine. But okay, this is out of focus, so let's not even look at this anymore. Let's take the next one, and here I was playing with the focus, and it's half a second. It's also too long. The picture is sharp, unless it was windy. It's not sharp. So again, I missed the focus here. Let's go to the next one. Now this one is sharp, so it's a real pity. This might have been sharp as well, but it might have been that I touched the tripod or some wind blew and it just made the lens was not stable enough, or I don't honestly remember, or I might have to still readjust the focus. But this one is dead sharp. So this is with the 600. It's a real pity that I don't have this piece of smoke. It's like a trail after the flying plane, exactly here as I do have here on this shot. But yeah, I missed it. What can I say? But otherwise it's perfect. So now let's look at the moon. Let's bring back some details here. Sorry, let's reduce the dynamic range. There's nothing done to this picture. Let's play with the camera settings, with the color profile. Let's check the Adobe standards. I like it. Let me switch it off. So let's go back. So this was standard. Now Adobe. I see more. It's more orange. Let's check the faithful. Now landscape might be, but neutral. No, so it's either standard or Adobe. I think I'll leave standard because this looks too artificial in this case, or maybe not. I might create 2 copies of this picture and export and do a thorough evaluation. standards. Okay, let's play with the Adobe. So now, now that's another thing. If you change different color spaces, then whatever you set before exposure correction or something, the color space change might affect this. So I have to pull back. Normally this should be done at the very beginning. So I'm just going. Yeah, now there's zero. There's just a tiny bit here, but the histogram doesn't even show it. So let me just do a little bit of contrast. And so, okay, I could use the preset here, but let's just do it manually. I'm not doing anything to the exposure, but let me start with the color white balance. So as I said, it was shot with the 3200. Let's see what's the daylight. No, it's too much. On the other hand, the moon above the horizon was really orange, and theoretically the color of the moon is the color of the sun, because this is just a reflection, the light reflected, the sunlight reflected. So theoretically this should be correct balance, but for me it's a bit too orange at the moment. So let me just pull back a bit. Maybe I'll just leave it at 4500, because this is too white. I mean, in reality it was orange on the horizon. Okay, let's do 4000. So it's a bit warmer comparing to what I was shooting, and I think I will leave it at this stage. Let's try to reduce the highlights. Look, if I'm reducing the highlights, what happens to the moon? It looks like a Death Star. Yeah, but it's 50 is too much. It was bright. I want to pull back here, and at the same time, so if I pull back the highlights, now I can increase the exposure. I'm still not getting any clipping here, so let's go back to the expand the dynamic range. Let's I want to get some texture in those clouds covering the moon. Let's bring back the clarity. Oh, okay, that's too much, but in this case this is, you want clarity. What happens if I bring back the shadows? That's I like it. Now you can, this is uncropped image with 600 millimeters. I could slightly crop it just to, but otherwise it's nice. I like this smoke here. I don't want to have this right in the middle. I didn't even frame it to have it right in the middle, but so, okay. But here, okay, here there's too much dark. Actually, those are clouds. So let's just take it up. Yeah, now it looks much nicer. Sometimes you just have to play with this. If I crop it a little bit more, how does it look? Yeah, nice. Okay, let's leave it. As I might come back to it again. So this is, let's just make some stars here. Now, here comes the picture which I was the most happy with. So I removed the 2x extender, and I stayed with the 300, and I went 300 millimeters, and I went vertical. This is unprocessed image, raw image, unprocessed. So before, after, as you see, it's exactly the same. ISO 400, f8, 5 seconds exposure. 5 seconds is too long. The moon, within those 5-10 seconds, as I noticed later, it just moves so fast, especially with this 300 millimeters focal length. It's too much, too long. So in the future I will increase the ISO and I will reduce the shutter speed. But okay, I see two problems. The moon is overexposed. As you see, this is already, in reality it's only 10 minutes later, so you see how fast it was moving, because the Moonrise was 20:38 and this is just 12 minutes later, and it's already way over the horizon. So next time I have to set up two cameras to take pictures with different focal lengths and just keep shooting, because to do video and shoot is quite difficult, and especially with such things when they are just happening so fast. Okay, so this was a test shot really, but I got the idea of the composition. Let's see if I can come up with anything from this test shot. So let's try with Adobe. What's the difference? Oh, let me switch this off. Standard. Now Adobe bring, you see, compare the standard and the Adobe. I see sort of, it's more subtle. I see more colors, this sort of rainbow, the color change. But it doesn't work on all pictures, so you have to, this is more orangey, more reds. So I might go to Adobe and just add a little bit of tint here to have like more like, okay, this was too much. Let's do some like 15, around 15, so towards magenta. So now I'm clipping the moon, as you see. I don't have any details here anymore. If I reduce the highlights, theoretically I see, but this is not natural. This is overdone. So this picture is definitely overexposed. I mean, it's white, but I want to get some texture here. I'm not really worried about the blacks here. Theoretically I could bring them back, yeah, but let's bring back put some clarity, vibrance. It's good enough. So basically it's the same colors. I just reduced the highlights, increased the shadows, sorry, recovered the shadows, but I want to get more details here in Rising Moon. So what I did later, as you saw, I did some bracketing, and those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots, and those are, each one of them, that there's a 2 stops difference in exposure between each one of them. The problem is, theoretically I could try to use the HDR, but those were long exposures pictures, so it's like, okay, this one was relatively fast, but this one was really like 1 or 2 minutes. If I wanted to use HDR, the HDR software would try to eliminate the ghosting. It would not look natural. This is already, it was bright, sort of bright, but it's too bright. This picture, the middle one, sort of resembles the most the reality, how it looked like. Maybe no, this one is too much. This one. The problem here, again, the moon. But because I did the bracketing, I have the first shot, which is really, let me just click on it, this one. On this one, which is like 4 stops underexposed, so this is only 1/3 of a second. I see the details in the moon, and it's sharp. I mean, it might be slightly off focus, it's still loading. It is dead sharp. However, I was actually focusing here on the tower here. So what I did, I want to, let's post-process those two, because this is what I'm interested. So make sure that they are both in sync. So again, I actually will use the same settings as I did on the previous pictures. So I'm going to Adobe. Let me switch it off for now. I'll leave the 3000 to 200. I mean, this is the problem between Canon and Lightroom. You set on the camera 3200, when you load it into Lightroom it's slightly off, but doesn't really matter. So I am in Adobe. Let's bring back some, reduce some highlights just a little bit. I don't really need to do it because what I want to use, basically I want to blend those two pictures together. So I'm just adding a little bit of contrast, recovering some shadows here, clarity, and I'm just adding some color. On this specific picture, because now I had both of them selected, so those changes affected both pictures. Now I'm just going into just selecting this one. I want to recover some, I want to get more details in this bottom section. So as you see here, there's lots of clipping in darks area. So I want to increase the exposure to get more details here on the, so I'm like, one stop is enough. And then I'm recover the shadows, so but it's too much. Then I see the grain here, so this is I don't want to overdo it. I mean, it is night, so some stuff has to be dark. So I think I'm good at this stage. Oops, let's click it again. And I think I'm good. And let's go now to this picture. Let's get some, so now I'm just doing, I don't care completely about the bottom part. Now let's increase here the exposure for the moon. So I want to get more details, texture here in those clouds. So let's use also like one stop. What do I get here? I still don't get any clipping. Now I start to clip. So if I go too much, so 1.1, let's just leave it at one stop. So we have those two pictures. Now what I'm going to do, you can actually see here already the finished picture. I'm selecting those two layers and I'm clicking edit in Photoshop, open as layers. So I'm not doing HDR, I will simply blend them together. Okay, so we are in Photoshop. I have two layers here, exposed here for the city of Mörbisch, and here is exposed for the moon. I was on a tripod, so I'm not really worried about layer alignment because it should be exactly the same. Sometimes if you're moving the camera, you might want to realign the layers, and then you select all the layers here and go to edit, auto align layers. So then Photoshop would try to align those layers, but since I'm not in this situation, I don't worry. So what I'm just doing, I want to do a mask. So I want to select this portion of the picture to show the moon, and then reveal the lower part, somewhere around here. So the graduation line should be somewhere around here. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding here the mask, and I want to, from the upper layer, I want to hide everything roughly above the horizon. So let me just get the gradient here. So it's a gradient tool. The layer is selected. I'm in black and white here. So here's black, here's white. And let's just, with shift, it's perfect. When I click shift, then I know the line is straight, and basically I want to draw it. And look what happened. I mean, within one click almost, you just reveal everything. I mean, it's a matter of taste. I might go a bit, I want to change this gradation line to make it more natural. No, it has to be more, yeah, I think this one looks good. Oh, I think the previous one was better, sorry, mistake. I want to see more details here. Too much, too much, too much, too much. Because I don't want to have it, I don't want to look up. Let's do it the other way. This is nice. So actually now I changed the orientation. So now you select the gradient tool and you draw and you create the very soft anti-grad basically. So this is how I do it. I mean, I might do it later for if I, this is just for the purpose of this video, so I might do it, play more a bit. So now flatten the image. Photoshop will ask you, do you want to save changes? Save. Now we can close it. If we go to Lightroom, we're already here. So this is the TIFF file. Let's have a look at this. And now compare it to this picture. Sorry, compare it to, I can't remember, 16. So very nice. I'm just from this picture. I just took this section with the moon. Awesome. So, and this is actually the one which I did post-process before. So they look quite similar. I mean, here obviously I had more time, so I was playing a bit with the white balance, but otherwise, and yeah, I did some more, spent some more time selecting which parts of the pictures I wanted to reveal. What I did, I think also, I noticed here, from the TIFF file you can still post-process. This is like a double post-processing. The TIFF file you can still work on it a bit, reduce this, increase the shadows, and what to do. I mean, ISO is 400, so it's not really an issue here. Let's just do very little noise reduction. But basically here, oh, I see here, it looks to me it's like a flare. Okay, so what I want to do, I will remove it. It's really black, but I just see it, so I wanted to get rid of it. And I think there is another one here, as you see here. I'm just selecting this, and this is gone. So that's the final image basically. The last thing before I sort of head off, when I switched the lens to 70 to 100mm lens, and I was doing different pictures with the anti-grad. This is the picture with the anti-grad with the 1 minute exposure. This is more or less okay. It's unprocessed. Let's get some blues quickly. So if you switch Adobe, you get some more blues. Default preset. Let's remove the flare. This is too big. Okay. I might have to correct it later. There's too much green cast. Let's just counteract it with the tint. I want to expand the range. Let's do a little bit of contrast. And basically, I mean, as a fast one, this is more or less it. Finally, because okay, in summer it will be nice here when you will see the grapes, but at the moment it's not so nice. So let's change the crop to 16 by 9, and this is good for the video. As a fast one, this is the image. I might do sharpening later on. What I wanted to say, because I was playing with different filters and different exposure times. Let me just select those 3 pictures. As you see here, this is the one which I chose. It was 60 seconds. This is the one, this is actually the good picture. The problem was here, I had the lights, the LED light used for filming, so it was casting here too much light. I might crop it to this level just to get rid of this. This was 2 minutes exposure, way too long for the moon. The moon here, it just moved so far, so much. It just, either I'll do some Photoshop or I will just do the new picture. This one I put a second filter, so I had 3 stops and degrad and the 2 stops. As you see, it's way too dark. This one looks really natural. It's just I should have increased the ISO and reduced the shutter speed. Otherwise the picture is very nice, very good. This one is too dark, and extra filters also create extra flare. So something you have to remember. Okay, that's it. Let me wrap it up, because this video will be like 1 hour long and nobody's going to watch it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned, subscribe, keep watching, share it, and comment. The one thing which I wanted to share, some people were asking me, how do you find the locations and how do you know when the moon or sun is rising or setting, etc., and how do you find those spots? I'm using an application called Ephemeris. It used to be an application which you actually had to install, but since few months, when Google changed the API, you cannot really use it on a normal desktop. You can still download, I think, the iPad, iPhone, and I use it on the Android device and application, which is then linked with your GPS, and it's really nice. But for the desktop users, especially, it's free. There is a web application here with this link. I'll put the link in the notes, and that's it. I mean, you basically search your location, use your Google Maps, you position yourself wherever you want to be, and you select the date, and you know exactly at what time the moonrise, in this case this is this blue line, and the sunset is occurring. So for instance, I was on Sunday in Mörbisch. Sorry, this would have been the perfect night. Saturday, yes. As you see, the sunset and the moonrise is occurring basically at the same time. But it was cloudy, so I was there on the next day. So it's like 1 hour later, 1 day later, it changes already the angle. So, but you can pre-plan it. You know more or less when there is a full moon or a new moon, and once you know the area, you can find out exactly what times the event is occurring and how to plan your trip. And you can really now zoom in. Oh, I went too far. So if I want to get, in this case, I was looking for, I wanted to get the moon over, okay, I have to zoom out a bit. I wanted to get the moon over the church tower, roughly. Now, where's the church? This is the street. Now I would have to zoom in. I mean, I cannot really find it too quickly. Hauptstraße. Somewhere here there's a church. So basically, if you know that you want the moon or the specific star or sun over a specific location, then you can slide here, and then with the slider, this is the moment of moonrise. But then it tells you, okay, the moon will be at this location, in this example, for instance, 1956, and so on. And the same happens to the sun, etc., etc. So this is really cool applications. I use it a lot and very useful. Till next time, have a good one.